Welcome to the Snips Media, a quiet space for timeless wisdom. Here we explore the ideas, teachings, and inner truths that have guided humanity across centuries, not to tell you what to think, but to invite you to reflect. Today we turn our attention to an ancient Egyptian wisdom, the heart and the feather. Long before psychology, long before self-help, ancient cultures understood something simple and profound. A life out of alignment carries weight. In ancient Egypt, they believed that after death, the heart was weighed against a feather, not to judge success, not to measure achievement, but to measure truth. The feather represented Ma'at, order, balance, harmony, and right living. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul passed on freely. If it was heavier, it meant the person had lived against their own inner order. This wasn't about punishment. It was about consequence. The ancient Egyptians believed the heart was not just an organ. It was the seat of thought, intention, character, and conscience. The heart remembered everything. What you pretended not to know. What you ignored. What you did while telling yourself it didn't matter. In their world, you couldn't argue with the scale. What's striking is how different this is from how we think today. We measure life by status, productivity, attention, and outward success. But the Egyptians measured life by inner weight. Not how impressive you looked, but how aligned you lived. A heavy heart didn't come from hardship. It came from living against truth, betraying your own values, wearing masks for too long, knowing what was right and choosing otherwise. Sound familiar? They believed something else too. You couldn't lie during the weighing, not because someone would expose you, but because the heart could not be altered. No speeches, no explanations, no excuses. Only the life you lived, only the weight you carried. In a way, this ancient image explains something many people feel today but can't name. That quiet heaviness. That low-level exhaustion, that sense of being off even when things look fine. It's not always burnout. Sometimes it's misalignment. When you live too long as someone you're not, the heart grows heavy. When you say yes while your body says no, the heart grows heavy. When you chase approval instead of meaning, the heart grows heavy. The Egyptians would say you are loading the scale. But here's the part often missed. The goal was not perfection. The goal was balance. Ma'at wasn't about being flawless. It was about living in harmony with what you knew to be true, to speak honestly, to act with restraint, to not violate your own inner order, even in small ways, especially in small ways. In modern language, this teaching might sound like this. Your peace depends less on what happens to you and more on whether you are betraying yourself. The more you abandon your inner compass, the heavier life feels. The ancient Egyptians didn't obsess over happiness. They cared about rightness, about living in a way that allowed the heart to remain light. That's a very different goal, and maybe a wiser one. So, the question they might ask you today is simple. Is your heart light, or is it carrying what you refuse to face? Not what others expect, not what looks good, but what you know. You don't need to change your whole life. Ancient wisdom never demanded that. It asked for honesty, for alignment, for small daily acts that remove weight instead of adding it. Because in the end, according to one of the oldest civilizations on Earth, what matters is not how much you carried, but whether you carried what was true. Pause and ask yourself, quietly, what would make my heart lighter?